You know what? I don't really like being filled with hate, so I'm gonna pick
Really?
optimism. Yeah, maybe.
I'll tell you what.
Personally
I mean,
don't
the
think-
Republicans won on fucking hatred. They won on hatred against trans people, against gay people, against women, against abortion, against Kamala Harris, or having a woman as president. Republicans absolutely win on that fucking hatred every single election cycle that they do win. Everywhere they do win.
But you can argue Republicans won on hate, but I think Democrats lost because of hate.
How is that
Hola.
possible? Are you going to argue with me?
No, about what?
Politics.
If you want me to. I'm just sitting here waiting
All right.
for an HVAC person, so I'm certainly annoyed. I'm happy to argue.
HVAC. You got to get your pipes cleaned, huh?
Yeah.
Dusted, whatever.
In the warehouse, too. It's not even like my house.
So, other than Israel, Palestine,
How's the big, beautiful bill looking these days? Did it pass?
I don't even think they've talked about it. I don't even think it's been brought up in the Senate yet.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to pass.
I don't think it probably will either. It has to get a bird bath, and then it has to get any changes the Senate wants to put on it. And then it has to go to a conference committee, and then it has to go back to the House again after that. So there's quite a bit left to it. They're expecting it to have a vote on it in July sometime in the Senate. So,
What do you think is people are going to be focused on in the midterms at this from like what's going on now?
I don't know.
Do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to matter. I think it's going to matter what happens early next year.
You're right.
I think that a lot of this stuff's going to be forgotten by then. Fuck, we're
Most of it. People are going to be like, what's a tariff?
yeah, because obviously Donald Trump didn't do shit with tariffs. He didn't fucking sign any deals. If he keeps it 10%, we're going to see some inflation from it, but that'll be about it.
The Q3 is definitely not going to be good.
Yeah, I don't think Q3 is going to be good, either one. I think we might be in a recession by then. If we're in a recession, the midterms are looking god-awful horrible. If Donald Trump continues doing what he's doing to immigrants in this country, I think the outlooks for the Republican Party are pretty slim. If Donald Trump keeps attacking Republicans and saying that he wants to primary somebody like Massey, I think they have a pretty grim outlook as well. And when Donald Trump is losing the idiot Marjorie Taylor Greene, I think everybody's in trouble too.
No, that's a loss that I think we can withstand. What do you think?
I don't. I think she's a queen or a darling of the Q movement and the ultra radical right wing. And I think Donald Trump is going to lose that, at least in her area.
Interesting. I think the midterms is going to be really interesting. I have a feeling right after the midterms, a new party is going to be announced. Just speculation.
No. But
I think that fight between Elon and Trump was staged, but it was supposed to be after the midterms. When Elon did a poll that millions of people voted in of who would want a third party.
Millions of people did not fucking vote in it. Those
They did.
polls on Twitter are not.
It could be a lot of bots.
They're not real. Those polls on Twitter aren't real.
All right, so let's just say 100,000 people voted they would want a third party. Actually, that's not enough. I wonder how many people did actually vote. But
they're all botted. They're all.
I voted in it.
That's awesome.
I would want another party. I think it's been too long since the last party reform.
Sure, I don't mind the Republicans and MAGA. I don't mind the Republicans and MAGA splitting up. That's fine with me. Go ahead.
I think the Democrats are splitting up also.
They're not. What would make you even think that?
Because I think there are a lot of people who normally vote Democrat that voted red or didn't vote at all in this election.
I think a lot of people didn't vote at all that are normally Democrat for a few different reasons. Palestine being one of them, voter suppression being another.
Voter suppression, wouldn't that be more of a Republican issue? Or wouldn't they vote to not have voter suppression?
Who, Democrats?
Yeah.
Yeah, but when they can't vote because their vote has been suppressed, they can't vote.
Well, illegals aren't allowed to vote, are they?
This isn't about illegal. This isn't about undocumented people.
So
It's about
who?
It's about American citizens getting taken off of voter rolls. It's about American citizens going to vote and standing in line for 10 hours and then having a bomb threat called in and having everybody evacuated. And then they have to go home and come back later. And a lot of people chose not to. Stuff like that.
Do you think that we need to change the way elections are run in this country? I don't know if we're allowed to say that word too many times, though, so we should be careful.
Yeah, I don't know either. But no, I don't think we should change it.
Well, if there's so many issues, then do you think there needs to be some sort of reform?
Well, I don't think we can. It's in the Constitution. I don't think we have enough votes
But
to
like
actually change the Constitution.
But like what you're talking about is an issue. Do you think that maybe voting should be like more than one day? I mean, I voted early, so I know that in some places you're able to. But do you think voting should be like more than one day?
I think voting should be 100% by mail, like it is in Colorado. Everybody gets a ballot sent to them. They notify you when the ballot is being sent. They notify you when the ballot is dropped off in your mailbox. You fill it out at your leisure in your own home. You can look up every issue on the ballot. You put it back in the mailbox. They will notify you when they receive it, and they will notify you once again when they count it.
Yeah, I remember when I voted by mail in 2020. That's I tracked it. It did it, and I don't mind that. I don't know if I agree it should be 100% that way, but it should definitely be accessible to the people who need it.
I think everybody should be able to do it that way. That way, everybody gets a chance to research all the people on the ballot and all the measures that are on the ballot, and whether they want to vote for, I don't know, a judge or not. Because they could look it up in the newspaper to see if this judge had done anything bad in the past.
Oh, 100%. People should be more familiar with the people running in their districts, especially at a local and state level.
Yeah. You don't get that chance though when you're in the ballot box and you've got 3 pages of things that you have to check off and that you have to remember. I don't think you get the chance to learn everything, or you obviously can't do the research then and there when you're at a ballot box.
Yeah, I actually had requested an early ballot, so I was able to do all that research, and at the last minute I voted in person.
I think you could do it that way too if you really chose to, but I think everybody should have the chance to get a mail-in ballot. And your party will disagree with you. Republicans are absolutely against that. They want lower voter turnouts, not higher voter turnouts.
Well, the way things are looking, I don't think the numbers matter as much as the beliefs, don't you?
I think the numbers matter a lot.
I meant the people who wouldn't want it. I don't know. I think that both Democrats and Republicans need major reform. Some can argue that MAGA was the major reform. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that the fringe.
I don't think anybody wanted the reform that MAGA brought.
That's a fair assessment. I disagree, but fair. I would argue that the fringe left has really gone into the left and pushed a lot of the centrist right.
I disagree.
Okay, it's your opinion.
Yeah, I think it can be proven out by numbers. I think the majority of the people that didn't vote were Democratic, and they just chose not to vote Democratic, or they chose not to vote at all.
Or they voted for Trump.
I think that Trump probably gained some younger voters this time around because of people like Charlie Kirk. But
I was thinking about that. I really, we have to remember that these kids don't know a time before Donald Trump was even in politics. Like, we remember before he was in politics, whatever, shitty person, got it, whatever. The 18-year-olds, they were 8 years old when he announced he was running for president in 2015. They don't remember a time,
and
really.
none of them have ever seen the Access Hollywood tape.
No, they all have. It's still
No,
played all over the internet.
no, I have not. I have talked to so many conservatives that have never seen or heard of the Access Hollywood tape.
Are you talking about the Billy Bush tape?
Yeah.
Did you tell them it's the Billy Bush tape?
Yeah, I told him it was Access Hollywood. I told him it was him and Billy Bush on a bus, and they were having a conversation that wasn't supposed to be recorded. And he said these horrible things. Oh yeah, I've never heard of that. There's a lot of kids that were kids, and they were not allowed to, or did not have the capacity to see those things when they were younger. So they don't even know that Donald Trump said shit like that.
Do you think that pushing people, especially young boys, into being told that they should hate something might have the opposite effect, where they might, because I think kids of that age are inherently defiant, that they might just go the opposite out of spite?
What do you mean?
Like kids who, like when a kid has a helicopter parent and they're told, over and over, you're not allowed to do anything. You're not allowed to do anything. And like, it's shown that those kids usually have the most problems because when they go and do something bad, they do something really bad because they weren't ever allowed to do anything. So they don't know the limit,
What does this have to do with voting?
Do you think that when people are told over and over and over, you have to hate this man, he's a schnazi, he's this, he's that they might turn around and say, well, wait a second, I'm being told to hate him. I don't know why, really, or why he's any different than anyone else. And you know what? I don't really like being filled with hate. So I'm going to pick
Really?
optimism. Yeah, maybe. I personally,
I mean,
don't
the Republicans won on fucking hatred. They won on hatred against trans people, against gay people, against women, against abortion, against Kamala Harris, or having a woman as president. Republicans absolutely win on that fucking hatred every single election cycle that they do win, everywhere they do win.
But you can argue Republicans won on hate, but I think Democrats lost because of hate.
How is that possible?
Because people don't like being filled with hatred. It's not.
That's
it
not
doesn't
true
feel
though,
good.
because
It
that's
is
why
true.
that's why a lot of people voted Republican, because they love hating people.
No.
Yes. When I do this and I have conservatives come in here, the first thing they fucking talk about is trans issues. That's it. That's the first thing, like almost every stinking time. They hate those people.
I don't think they hate them as much
They
as
absolutely friggin' do.
I don't think so. There's nothing to hate. It's whatever anyone believes in. If someone is trans, it has zero effect on them. It's fact, right?
Yeah, I tell them that.
Yeah,
They don't care. They
I don't
disagree.
hate people that have
They
nothing
think it affects their life. They're worried about the kids that they might have in the future going into a bathroom sometime, and there'll be a trans person in there, and they're going to do something bad. Yes, they will tell me that every single time, and this is the issue that they voted
for. Do you think that arguing that men shouldn't play in women's sports is hating trans people?
I do.
Okay.
It's such a small number of people in this country. If you can get kids to focus on that, it is absolutely based on hatred.
As someone who played sports their entire lives, I can see both sides. I understand it's such a small minority of people, but it's I really do see both sides on that.
Did you ever play sports against a trans person?
No.
Do you think that it might be possible that you could beat that person?
I know I've played tennis against guys who have never played, and they can kick my ass. And I was a state champ at one point.
That can't be true.
In some sports,
That can't be true in
I played
tennis.
basketball. I think there's a reason there's a WNBA and an NBA.
That can't be true in tennis. You say a man that's never played tennis before.
Well, maybe not never played, but not play as much as I do. I play every day.
Well, that's all relative then. If they play every other day and you play every day, maybe that's true.
No, they play like once a year.
I would say that absolutely can't be true. There is so much that goes into tennis to be able to make that ball do what you want it to do, and you practicing them as much as you have would be able to make the ball do what you want it to do, and they won't.
I can't
You
return a
should be able
serve.
to. Why are you serious?
Yeah, there's an interview of Serena Williams saying the exact same thing.
Yeah, she was joking.
No, she
I
wasn't.
saw the interview. Yes, she was joking.
It's a different game. I
She
mean,
was she was joking. I saw the interview as well.
I do think it's possible, though, to have a conversation about it without going immediately into someone is transphobic.
There's You have never played against a trans person, but you have something against trans people in
I,
sports, and I think that's absolutely crazy, and it has to be based on hate or
no, it
fear of
has
some kind.
not fear necessarily, but I do, like I said, as a child who played sports, I don't feel that it's necessary. I don't want to say anything like transphobic because I really don't have anything against the trans community. It's such a small percent of our population, and the amount of people who play sports is even smaller. But I think that we do need to build up women and make women feel comfortable in women's spaces. I don't think anyone could dispute that. To me, it seems like a weird conversation that people are fighting about because it is such a small minority. And
Donald Trump spent $100 million on commercials on this thing.
how much did he spend in his entire campaign?
I don't know, like 700 million.
It's interesting. It was 1/7 of his budget.
It was, I don't know exactly what the budget was. I mean, it could have been up to $1 billion, and he could have spent more than $100 million. I know that
Or
there was at
less.
least $100 million that was put into it, but these were from outside sources too. He didn't run these commercials. I think Elon Musk actually ran most of the commercials, but I don't know. I haven't done all the research on that, but I know that there were a shit ton of commercials ran right before the election, and it was about she's for them, they, them, and I'm for you. Is what the commercial was.
Do you think that people are a little, after everything we've been through the last, let's just say 5 years since the schmandemic, that people are just a little sick and tired of the political correctness?
No, I don't even know. What are you talking about when you say political correct?
Like peace, like being PC, like making sure you say the right pronouns and having to discuss your feelings. Sorry, there's a train track behind the warehouse. And just the whole cancel culture. People are sick of cancel culture. You can't say anything, you can't do anything without having to worry about your life is going to be affected forever.
Cancel culture comes from everywhere. It's just a side effect of being online. But have you ever had somebody force you to say a pronoun?
Has someone ever asked me what my pronouns are?
No. Have you ever had somebody force you to say their pronoun?
Yes.
You have.
On this app, yes. In real life, no.
Oh, on this app. So you're not allowed into a room unless you address somebody the way they ask you to address them.
There have been times on this app, yes, not, and I don't mind if that's what they prefer, that's fine. It's the same thing as me, because I'm under this account, like of me asking someone to say, hey, can you call me Theo and not, my name just for safety reasons. To me, it's the same thing as someone saying, hey, can you call me she or them? You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, I had to jump on Bonjour Man.
Well, no, he was doing it by accident. I do appreciate that, but it was completely by accident.
I understand it was by accident. I get it. But he obviously wasn't paying attention. You had said it more than once, so I had to say something to him.
No, and I appreciate that, and I'm acknowledging the fact that he wasn't doing it on purpose.
Isn't that the same thing? And I protected you in that scenario?
No, yeah, and I'm saying it's to me it's the same thing, but it's not. I would never get like super like you're disrespecting me, you're transphobe. I guess that was a bad comparison, but I understand.
It was because you sounded like you were freaked out about it.
Well, it was just annoying because I had said it more than once. But it wasn't, I'm acknowledging the fact he wasn't doing it on purpose. Like when you're having a conversation with someone, it'd be like me being like, hey, Mo, you know, it's whatever. I just think that people have to be, I think that cancel culture has destroyed our society, in all honesty. And I think that
and you just jump away from pronouns. I got you.
But I think pronouns are part of it, and being ostracized for not complying is a part of it.
I think they're not part of it. I think that even on an app like TikTok, if somebody puts he, her in their, or she, her in their profile or whatever, you can choose to call them that. If you don't, most people are probably not going to give you a shit about it. Every once in a while, you might find a room that absolutely enforces it, and you are removed from the room if not. But nobody's forcing you to do it either way. You just won't be able to speak in that room. These are private chat rooms to a certain extent anyway, and they can choose who to have up on a panel and who to have it in a room. So nobody's forcing you to do that. Is my point. You said you were being forced to use pronouns.
No, I said there are people. You asked if anyone's ever forced me. I said, well, I've been.
Well, because you said that people are sick of being forced to use pronouns.
I think they are.
But that doesn't happen. Nobody forces anybody to use pronouns. It doesn't happen in a workplace. It doesn't happen in real life. There are no laws against this. It may happen on a panel, but they don't force you to do it. You get to choose whether you want to do it or not.
Did you ever see that interview of asking Bernie Sanders questions, and they get up to the mic and he says, yes, she can go next. And they said, I go by they, them, and his mouth just like dropped to the ground. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Do you think that was, well, I guess you've never seen it.
What happened after that?
Nothing. It was just like, ask your question.
Did he say that you can go ahead and speak, or they can go ahead and speak? Did he say that?
I think he was kind of just like, all right, yeah, ask your question now. But there was like a moment of silence where he looked like, this is
you read a whole lot of shit into that doesn't exist.
I'll send you the video. It's kind of,
I'm just telling you that you read a whole lot of shit in there that doesn't exist.
But do you think at all that the way that our society has become, with the need to be politically correct and people being like having to walk on eggshells for whatever reasons, not just the one we were just discussing, just having to walk on eggshells because everyone, you know, I just feel like this generation, probably a little younger than me, you know, it's like everyone's a victim and no one takes anyone else's life experience into consideration because they think that whatever they went through in their life is like the worst thing in the world, and no one's ever been through anything worse than them, and they've seen it all, and they have no idea what real world problems are. I'm sure you've seen some of those people on this app.
The last 20 minutes in this conversation. I think you're playing the victim right now.
How?
Because you're saying that you're being forced to do something. You're talking about being canceled. I mean,
I'm saying cancel culture has an effect on society, and people, I think the youth especially, is against cancel culture, especially young boys who are afraid to like open their mouths.
Okay. I don't know if you saw any of my diving down into the whole no men, all men bullshit.
Oh, I saw some of it. I saw enough.
Okay, so I'm gonna agree to a certain extent, but that is coming left on left. This is not something that happens left on right. As a matter of fact, the people that want to force that are a lot more brutal with liberals than they are with conservatives.
Why do you think that is?
Because conservatives are expected to do bad things or say bad things, and those are the people that we are trying to change or open up their eyes. Liberals are expected to know this ahead of time, and if you don't, and you don't comply, then you are not going along with the program. So this is an infighting thing. It's not across the aisle thing.
But do you think, and this is a very niche conversation. We're talking about a conversation within a community. Do you think the larger problem is that it's being made into a right-left issue instead of just a societal issue?
It's not a right-left issue. I'm telling you that it's a left issue, and it's a societal issue.
I think it's a generational issue. I'm concerned for the next generation. It's not
generational.
I think that there's the generation, if you don't know where you were on September.
Yeah, you can say 9/11.
I don't know. Some people are weird about it. I just feel if you don't know where you were on that day, you're in a generation of everything's bubble wrapped and you're so protected and everyone's a victim. And I'm just so sick of this victim complex. And everyone can sit there.
It's so crazy for me to hear you say that.
You could sit there.
Theo, you put yourself in the victim spot so many times, so often.
I reap what I sow, but I'm not sitting here calling myself a victim. I'm not sitting here saying.
You are. You do it on all these panels. You talk about how people treat you like shit, and they won't let you talk. And I'm speaking, and you get upset at me because I say that you're not adding anything to a conversation. Yeah, you are a perpetual victim, and you're complaining about perpetual victims.
I think that me trying to get a word in and complaining about that, while that might, by definition, fine, whatever. But I think you and I both know there's a big difference between that and someone saying they had a rough childhood, they need to be protected and treated differently for the rest of their life. There's a big difference. And I think that is one of the biggest issues we have today is that all these people, I'm going to say like 27 and younger, think that if they've ever been through one thing in their life, that they have to be protected and they have to be, and anything that they do is validated by their feelings or lack thereof. Because I don't think these people have any care about anyone else in the world, or at least they're in their society. Do you?
I should stop talking to you. Fuck, you backed me in a corner there.
Because you know that I'm making, and this isn't a right-left issue. I'm not coming at the left over here. I'm just saying we, as people who are older, I'm going to put myself in your bracket for a minute.
How old are you? I don't even know how old you are.
Over the age of 21, under the age of...
Just tell me how old you are, for Christ's sake.
There's people who want to get me. I'll tell you in Discord. But...
All right, don't worry about it.
I just think if you don't know where you were on 9/11, you have a skewed perspective in the world. I was hiding under a desk. There was a plane in Pennsylvania. No one knew where it was going. I remember it so vividly and thinking how unimportant I was in them. You know what I mean? Like, oh shit, like there are real issues in the world. My whole family's in New York. It was the scariest day. And these kids sit there and they're like, oh my God, I put myself in a bad situation one time and I need, for the rest of my life, I can fall back on that. And anything I do or say is excused by the fact that I had an experience 10 years ago. And I think that people need to get a thicker skin and grow up and get over this perpetual victimhood.
But you fucking missed the whole victimhood. There's a difference
between me saying I can't talk and me going out into the real world and acting like I deserve some special treatment for some stupid, oblivious reason that has nothing to do with anyone else in the world. Which I think a lot of these people do, and I don't think you disagree. You don't have to say it, but I don't think you disagree.
I do. I disagree with that statement completely. I think my biggest issue, and I guess it's no big deal because I've obviously told everybody on the left this anyway, I think that everybody cries a lot about not being able to buy a house right out of fucking high school. And I think that's the most ridiculous thing ever. I'm so sick and tired of young people complaining that at 22 years old, they can't fucking own a house. That's so obnoxious to me.
Sense of entitlement that this generation has. They have no appreciation for the position we're in, where they might be able to do any of these things that maybe they haven't been able to do because they're too busy complaining about absolutely everything and hating Trump. Everything's Trump's fault.
You were fucking twisting us so much. All of these issues, anything that you're going to bring up as far as the victimhood complex, needs to be addressed on a case by case basis.
Of
Because
course.
there are certainly reasons that kids go out into the real world today and they are victims. They have been shown to be victims for a lot of reasons in a lot of different ways in a lot of different places. But you have to take it on a case by case basis at that
Do
point.
you think that
But I'm just telling you, Theo, you are playing the victim, and yet you're complaining about
I'm
people
not.
playing the victim. You
I'm not.
are. You
No,
spent 20
I'm
minutes
not.
talking about how you were a victim.
I'm not a victim. I'm not a victim in any way, shape, or form. You have no idea about anything in my life. I have no idea about anything in yours, and that should not change.
We were talking about a specific thing. We were talking about We were talking about cancel culture and pronouns, and you played the victim for like 20 fucking minutes
I'm not,
right before you
I
said
can
that.
assure you I'm not a victim in any way, shape, or form in this, especially in this situation. I'm not a victim at all.
Anybody that listened to that conversation understood that you put yourself in the victim role at that particular point.
No, I feel the people who are making a big deal about those things are playing victim, but that's my opinion. You could have yours. That's totally cool.
You're the one making a big deal about it. I didn't say shit about it. You brought it
You
up.
asked me what I felt about a certain thing. I said, well, I think that this is how I feel. And then so, well, you're playing the victim. I don't really feel that is.
Well, then maybe don't complain when somebody asks you to call them her.
I don't complain. I call them her. If
You just fucking complained about it.
That was my point, Mojo. If someone says, "Can you say her?" Of course, I'm going to say her. The same way when I asked, I'm not going to say his name because it's irrelevant. Hey, can you call me Theo? And he did. He had a slip up. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't on purpose, but he did. So I don't think that we have to go around. Not we, because I don't think you do it, but there's plenty of people who are probably watching right now who do, who think they've had one bad experience in their life and they deserve to be treated differently than anyone else in the world. And whatever anyone has been through, we are so lucky to live in this country and have the rights that we do. We are so lucky. And people forget that. And that bothers me. Because compared to everywhere else in the world, regardless of what anyone's been through, and I've been through shit in my life that I don't need to talk about, still very lucky and fortunate to live in this great country that everyone hates so much.
Yeah, you let a little Gen X out, everyone.
I think millennials are going to end up saving the day.
Yeah.
We're the generation that everyone kind of was like, oh, the millennials.
You're the generation that started the victimhood.
I don't think so, actually. I really think it was the next generation. I could be wrong. I'm not an expert on that, but I can certainly tell you, I've been through a lot in my life, and
we all hate in this country the next generation. Everybody, that's just a natural reality of living.
I feel bad for them. I think they're stupid.
Well, my parents thought I was stupid, and I think the kids to millennials are stupid, and you're going to think that Gen Z is stupid, and Gen Z is going to think that Gen Alpha is stupid. Yeah, that's normal.
Gen Z's deaf stupid, though. We can, cut that there.
No, we can't. It's just normal for you to feel that way.
But I think that I don't know how or when they'll be able to get over the fact that they were locked in their house for a year. I'm sorry. The social, I think when you take kids and not only disrupt this is...
They locked themselves in their fucking houses playing video games all day, and you're worried about how they were locked in a house during COVID?
Kinda.
That's ridiculous.
But that's... You don't think that's a cause for concern, how that might have affected their
I don't think that affected anybody, except you.
I wasn't affected. I was in Florida.
You're the one who's complaining. You're the one who's complaining about it right now, not them.
I'm also not of that generation. I wasn't in school. I think that these kids
generation's not complaining about it, for Christ's sake.
Yeah, they are.
No, they're not.
Can we get someone up here of that generation and ask how they think they've been?
I have never had a Gen Z tell me how horrible it was to not be able to go to fucking school.
You're right, because they don't know. Like, don't you remember like praying for snow days and like not having to go to school? For them, they think it's
sure, but I live in Colorado. We didn't get snow days. There could be 3 feet of snow on the ground and we still went to school.
But as an adult, you're aware of the importance of being around people, social, structure, having to follow rules. I mean, I had an Uber driver a couple weeks ago who was a teacher, and he said that he felt unsafe teaching after the pandemic because kids came back and they would refuse to listen. They were getting in fights. You know, obviously this is one specific school. I'm not speaking for an entire generation, but I do think it's cause for concern that kids all over, like in all grades, lost that structure and and having a schedule and being social and getting to be around people, maybe getting away from their family. Maybe they're from dysfunctional families. Who knows? These kids are struggling and these are the next generation. I think we have to look at them and figure out a way where they're not going to be filled with hate and turn into like school unaliving people. You know what I mean?
It's
scary.
It's a little weird that you're making them victims when they're not making themselves victims.
What? Do you think that we're overusing the word victims here? Do you think that there's going to be a cause and effect of kids not being able to go to school?
I think you think that. I don't think they think that.
Well, they don't know what to think. They're kids.
See, you have turned them into victims for your own
I think the
security
entire
or your own ideology.
I don't think it's an ideology necessarily as much as it is a fact that kids were affected. I mean, they've done studies. I can send them to you. It's not really I don't have kids. I wasn't a kid during this time, but I know friends, people I play tennis with, their kids were struggling. A lot of them had to enter therapy. I think therapists are it's every other kid's in therapy because they don't understand something. And it's like, don't you think we should let kids like grow up and maybe go through phases before we label them or put them in a box?
Is therapy bad?
I personally don't believe in it. That's a personal thing. I don't know. I'm hyper aware of things because I've gone through things in my life, so I understand maybe a little bit why certain things are the way they are. So personally, I don't believe in it, but if someone else benefits from it, then they have every right to go.
Then why are you bringing it up?
Because I do think it's an issue how many people need to go.
There are a lot of people in this country that will tell you that everybody needs to go. They've all tried to talk me into going.
Well, don't go.
I'm not going to.
First
I'm
off,
fucking Gen X. I don't do that shit.
Why not?
Because I'm Gen X.
But
you stand up, you rub some dirt on the fucking knee, and you keep walking.
That's right. You get up and whatever happens to you, get up and
that's
you keep
the way we
going.
are. That doesn't mean I don't think they're right. That doesn't mean I don't think that therapy is good for all people.
But I think what you just said is a construct that they don't have. It's like they fall and they need 100 people to put them back up. They need to figure out, okay, this is why I fell. This is how I fell. You know, instead of just saying, you know what, shit happens, move on.
I think talking things out and working things out with somebody listening to you and responding to you about while you're doing it, I think is probably always going to be a good thing. I think the problem with me or somebody of my generation is that we didn't do it and we found other coping mechanisms. And the mechanisms that we found were compartmentalization. And the problem is that us Gen Xers, we have all compartmentalized this shit so much that we forget it. We don't remember it. It comes up every once in a while when we get some sort of deja vu or something and we're traumatized by it all over again. But I don't think people understand how scary it is to think about opening up your head again to the things that you experienced when you were younger, when right now those things are just shoved away in the back somewhere and you don't have to worry about them. So I don't think people understand that, but we learn to deal with it in a different way. I think that the kids today that are going to therapy, everybody going to therapy is probably the best way to deal with our mental stresses and the ability to set things up in our mind correctly and how things work in the world.
Well, I guess we're going to find out from when time sets in. I just think they're creating a very soft generation. And who is not going to be able to compartmentalize. I think being able to compartmentalize is a very good skill to have. What did you say?
No, it's fucking terrible.
So, why? If
Because
something
it's always gonna come out.
If something
You can't
happens,
stop it from coming out.
you're right. But if something happens in the morning, you can't just say, you know what? I remembered something that happened to me 30 years ago, and I need to go lay in bed and cry about it and be victim. No, you have to get up and go to work. No one has it easy, and I think that people forget
Why?
that.
We are fucking. We are
Because
human. We are human beings. We're not fucking robots. We're not automatons. We have feelings. We have emotions. We have thoughts. We have ideas. We care about people. We don't care about people. We empathize with people. Some of us don't. Some of us do. These are all things that we have to deal with as being a human being. And you think people are soft because they want to deal with these things as they arise. I say they're not soft for doing that. I say that they're doing the right thing by doing that. I say that compartmentalizing makes us fucking hard and makes us basically inhuman.
I think the real problem is people walk around like whatever they've been through is worse than the person that they don't even know. And I think that people it's becoming so narcissistic. It's like a victim, like narcissistic disorder where whatever someone's been through is worse than anything else in the world.
And the judgment you place on people is incredible. You judge everybody without even knowing them.
I'm actually pretty open-minded. I don't hate people. I'm pretty open-minded. I understand the cause and effect of why people might be the way they are because of what I've been through. But I do feel that because of, and it's not a political issue, I think it's a more societal issue, people are told, no matter what your feelings are, they're valid because they're your feelings. And you can act on them because your feelings are valid. Instead of, you know what, this happened to you, this is bad, this shouldn't happen. I'm not downplaying anything anyone's been through. But they have to remember that other people in the world go through things, and they're not the only ones. They're not special. None of us are special. We all have shit. Whether it be family or this or that or anything, everyone has shit in their life, and no one has a perfect life. And people have to stop walking around.
Oh my God, stop.
Okay.
I don't want to hear you bitching about other people anymore. You've played tennis a lot in your life. Have you ever read the book, The Inner Game of Tennis?
No, I haven't. I'll write it down though. What is it?
There are two of them. There's an Inner Game of Tennis 1 and an Inner Game of Tennis 2. The first one's more important than the second one. However, I think you should read the book Inner Game of Tennis. It's about the Tao. It's basically the Tao of sports. It's about how to learn or how to think about not thinking and just do. It's something that I read before every major pool tournament that I played in because it puts you in a right state of mind to accept new information. I think that if you could accept new information and regurgitate information that's already known without actually thinking about it. So muscle memory, something like that. So anyway, I think you should read that book. And I also want to post this particular conversation that we've had. And I think you should listen back to it because I think you'll be surprised at how often you were doing the exact same thing that you're blaming everybody else for doing.
That's fine. I mean, I stand by.
You don't have to. You don't have to.
Tennis 1 and 2. I wrote it down. I'm going to read it. I mean, part of what I love about tennis is regardless of whatever I'm dealing with that day or in my life, and I've played tennis my entire life. It's always been an outlet for me. Is I can walk on the court with my rackets, and it's just me and my opponent, and they're not on my phone. You focus on the ball, you compartmentalize, you get through the match. I think that more people should play sports for that reason. I think it's constructive. I think it teaches a lot more than people realize. And, I will read these books.
This is about being self-aware in the environment that you're in. So the way the first book starts out, this is written by a tennis pro, by the way. So the
Which
way the
one?
books, I don't remember the name. The name is irrelevant to me. I don't really care.
I
But
saw an interview with Agassi, and I didn't realize he was addicted to schmugs. But continue. Sorry, I just
okay,
thought of that.
the first story in the book is about how he how he trains people or how he teaches people as a tennis pro. And one of the main things he does, or the first things he does when he starts teaching someone, is to have them stand in front of a mirror and recreate the situation that they want him to teach them about. So he gives an example of somebody coming in that says, everybody tells me I have a bad backswing. They say that I lift my arm up too much or my backswing is too high. And I don't understand it. I don't understand what they're talking about. I try and change it, but I can't change it. So this tennis pro sticks this person in front of a mirror and says, okay, do your backswing now and watch yourself doing it. And the first time they lifted their backswing up, that tennis racket went up to the top of their head or above their head or something like that. And they're like, oh my God, I see it now. I see what you're saying. And that person was able to correct that thing immediately, but had spent months trying to correct it before that without actually seeing themselves do it.
Self-reflection. I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Well, and I think that's why I say you should listen back to this conversation that we've had right now and self-reflect on some of the things that you said here and some of your reactions I think you had to me, because I think that you might see something a little different than what you think you said.
I'm open to it.
Okay.
I will do
Well,
it.
that's up to you. I mean,
No, I will.
won't push you
I
any
will
farther
do
than
it
that.
for you. I really do stand by, and it's not a political thing because it's their kid. You know, kids aren't political yet, right? They shouldn't be. I mean, they could. They're not voting yet, let's say. So we don't know how they would vote. But I do think we have to acknowledge, or at least just look at the fact that everyone, I feel, is just being filled with hatred of Trump, hatred of this, hatred of America. It's okay to hate. It's okay to say all these things. And I think that it's reflecting on young voters, because I don't think that young men especially like being told to hate. I'm just saying, it's something to think about.
I think they do, and I think that's the entire premise of the red pill movement. Is
What's the premise?
teaching young men how to hate.
But I don't think so. I think that and that's your opinion, and that's totally fine.
What do you think an incel is?
You tell me.
Somebody that's involuntary celibate. They will go into the red pill movement, and they will come out of that movement thinking that everybody else is holding them back. Everybody else has held them down. Everybody else is telling them the wrong things, that their particular situation is caused by the world around them and how everybody else is telling them how to act. So they're going to hate everybody else around them, especially women, because they're celibate. So they come out of that red pill movement hating fucking women.
That's interesting. That's the first time I've heard it explained like that. I just haven't seen it that way personally. I also am not a young boy, so I can't really speak for them.
I think you'd understand that young men would not think that there's something wrong with them. They end up thinking that there's something wrong with the women around them, and they say that women are too picky, that women control all of the relationship statuses in this country, and they hate them for having that control because they don't get to decide who they want to date. It's always the woman that's going to decide for them, and they're not getting picked. So women suck.
Well, you're an adult. You know that that's not how dating works.
I do, but that's what they're being taught in the red pill.
So they're being taught how life works. Do you think instead of being taught, they should get out and live it and experience it for themselves?
I do, but what I'm telling you is that it's the right wing pushing this fucking hatred, not the left. You say that everybody's being taught to hate Trump. I'm saying that the people on the right are being taught to hate everybody.
All right, I'm not going to use the word taught. Do you think that, let's just say, the media perpetuates nonstop hatred of Trump?
I think the media I think the media reports on Trump,
I think the media is a bigger problem than the parties, to be honest. And whoever's funding it.
I think the media reports on Trump, and people decide whether they hate him or not for the things that are reported on. The media.
I'm going to use this as an example. When Bill Clinton didn't he accept the nomination for president at Madison Square Garden? Wasn't the DNC at Madison Square Garden? Did they call that a Schnazi rally? Or was it only when Trump did it that it's a Schnazi rally?
You were talking
yeah.
You were
I'm just saying, is Trump the first politician in America to have an event at Madison Square Garden, whether it be a candidate or a party?
You were talking about
he's not.
Oh my fucking God.
So why is it only him who's called a Schnazi?
You were talking about the DNC and comparing that to a political rally.
Yes, I am, because it's
two different things.
So the whole DNC is a Schnazi party?
No.
Why not?
Because it wasn't set up as a political rally. It wasn't set up as a way
It was set up as a political convention.
It was set up to nominate a person.
A Schnazi.
No.
That's my point, though. Why is it?
God.
The double standard is crazy.
There's no double standard, and your hatred is showing.
They acted like Trump. No, I hate what this country has turned into. I never thought I'd vote for Trump again after January 6th. I thought it was disgusting. I was like, all right, I'm done with this shit. After 3.5 years of just nonstop every single day, hate, I was like, you know what? I really don't even hate the guy. I don't. Because it became so shoved down my throat. You have to hate him or you're a white supremacist. You have to hate him or you're a Schnazi. You have to hate him or you're racist. And I think that when you label people, it has the opposite effect because people do not like to be put into boxes. I understand it's in vogue. It's in vogue right now to be put into a box, but I don't want to be put into a box. I don't think you do either. I don't think most people do.